When I was first introduced to Schoology, it was as a member of the D303 blended learning team. The more we learned about personalized learning, the more it became clear that the best way to capitalize on disruptive technology in the classroom was to make use of an LMS. We realized that over the course of the last 5 years, we had been finding ways to digitize content using Google Classroom, Chromebooks, Edmodo, Blackboard. But we were ready to take all of this to the next level and create a virtual space for learning that could be used both in and out of the classroom, essentially creating on-demand instruction. Learning to use Schoology as an online platform versus simply a digital content delivery system required a commitment to change our learning design and focus on all the ways that we can personalize learning. Now, as I design my instruction, I'm not only thinking about high effect size practices, but I'm also thinking about the ways I can improve and provide flexibility in pace, place, time, and path of learning. Because of this disruptive technology and the use of the LMS, I can actually put students at the center of their learning, empowering them to know where they are currently, where they're going, and what they need to do to meet their goals. I found that personalizing requires more than just going paperless or swapping out what was once done in person for something digital. It requires designing opportunities for students to access the learning from anywhere at any time and to move at a pace that meets their needs. Since the LMS allows me to design a progression of tasks in which every student has to demonstrate mastery of a target, it doesn't matter as much if they're all together in the same place at the same time working on the same thing in front of me. I can provide feedback and they can manage their own learning as an ongoing process. As students show mastery of the learning targets in social studies, they're also learning how to manage their time, advocate for themselves, and develop a sense of self-awareness and determine what actions they need to take to meet their goals and collaborate in both digital and non-digital environments to problem solve. One of the reasons my students feel that the experience is so fluid for them and that they can engage without frustration is because there's a simple way to know what they need to do next and can identify where they need help. This is due to something that seems really simple but makes a big difference: naming conventions. Any task they're expected to engage in is numbered. When students are looking for an assignment, they can easily find it because it's organized in numerical order. The grade book then organizes all of the tasks and syncs them to eSchool in the same order. When students want to revise an assignment or get clarification, they identify the assignments to each other and to me by number. This saves so much time, frustration, and confusion, and it empowers them to manage their learning independently. In order to keep the gradebook organized, there is a zero in front of the number, and due dates are arranged using bulk edit as time management goals. Students are frequently asked to communicate their time management plans and to use the due dates as goalposts to determine how they can pace themselves without becoming overwhelmed. When students view their grades through Schoology, they can engage with the feedback that I've given them, revise their work, and think about learning as a process. Completion rules are one of my favorite features because students have an understanding of the task progression and receive a sense of accomplishment when they see the green check. This also aids in their time management planning when they have to communicate how they plan to manage their time. Students are empowered to know where they are at and where they need to go by using the grade comment feature of the LMS. Building the routine of checking grades regularly combined with naming conventions allows students to access direct feedback from their teacher. The two-column rubric that I use for mastery tells students that they've met the learning expectation, or it prompts them to revisit the learning according to the feedback. Another feature to empower students is the use of digital badges, which are like street cred and are used for incentives for achieving a goal. Just like my old Girl Scout sash in the 1980s, students can collect badges that represent the skills that they've mastered. In my class, for example, in geoliteracy. If they know that there's a badge to be earned and displayed in their Schoology profile by anyone in the district who clicks on it, they're motivated to earn that cool badge. So what happens when a student cannot get into your Zoom from home, or if they're in another place in the building and they want to access your content learning or engage in your class? What if they're uncomfortable turning on their camera? How do I know if they're engaging in my class or in class? Well, when you begin to implement flexibility of place, you start to learn how to let go of that notion that if they're not in front of me learning, they must not be learning. Instead, I can provide a task progression in which each task is organized into sequential order to lead to demonstration of learning or mastery. So students can access this on demand from any location. So how do I empower students to engage with the content without having to click on multiple links and access multiple sites, some of which require logging in? Only an LMS can really do this. So I can embed slides, games, Padlets, videos, all kinds of things into my playlists as part of the task progression, which requires, of course, that students access them before moving on to the next task. Another way to make sure that students are accessing instruction fluidly without having to make multiple clicks or log into multiple sites is through the use of LTI integration, which I always understood as just an app that talks directly to the LMS. I learned that it actually stands for Learning Tools Interoperability, but I digress. LTIs are so easy to add to your task progression without having to log into multiple sites. So I can add an Edpuzzle, a Google assignment, a Kami assignment, and students can turn these in directly through Schoology without me having to go in and log into those accounts and try to access the information in all of these other tools. So here's what's insane. I can set them up to automatically score and go right into the Schoology gradebook, or I can manually score them through the LMS as well. So students are able to manage their own learning, access these tasks from anywhere they have internet access, and allow me to focus on my in-person time with those students or groups that need individual or group face-to-face support or peer-to-peer discourse. To track how students are engaging in the task, I can view analytics through the LMS and see how much time each student is engaging in the task. If a student is not engaging, I can make a connection with them to find out what is getting in the way of their engagement. I don't need to make an assumption like they are just being lazy or they just don't care, and then we can problem solve together. So this is a way to use the LMS to make sure that my students are engaging and so that they can track their engagement without relying on having a camera on if students are not right in front of me face to face. Okay, so when we think about flexibility of path, we often talk about choice. Offering choice in and of itself is not personalization, and sometimes leaves students confused, not understanding the intended outcome or the expectations. Choice must be purposeful, such that students can take informed action and meet their learning goals. The LMS allows me to provide choices in how students would like to show their mastery of the skill or understanding. One of my favorite features for this is the discussion board tool, as well as the assignment feature. After students have completed a progression of learning tasks, they use the discussion board tool as a formative assessment, sometimes to determine if they have mastered the skill or understanding. Now, the CPP method, which is displayed here, is a strategy that I created loosely based on Skinner's extended response practice. Students can show their learning authentically by using a mode of their choice, by recording audio, recording video, or responding in writing. The CPP strategy for instructors helps to make sure that when you give a prompt, you're providing context, you're providing the prompt itself in the form of a question, and you're pointing the way so that students are clear on what it is that they're being asked to demonstrate. and so that they can manage their own learning. So by creating grading groups, it's possible to assign students tasks that will only be viewable to them and will only sync to their gradebook. Because of this, I can personalize tasks, embedded content, LTIs, based on student topic choices, based on their readiness, based on their skill levels, and based on their learner profiles. So content management systems don't have this feature built in. Through the use of disruptive technologies and the LMS, students are engaged. They experience a fluid progression of learning that is empowering. They're invested in the work that they put in, and they believe that their teacher cares about whether or not they actually learn. By using all the features of the LMS to provide flexibility in pace, place, time, and path, the student experience is truly personalized. Thank you for taking this virtual tour with me through my Schoology course with my CWI students. I hope that it helps to see what's possible with personalization. Thanks for your time.